Donald Trump officially takes office for his second term tomorrow on Monday, January 20th, and this is a long-awaited moment for many folks here in the crypto space. There is a lot to talk about in this video, and we're going to break down exactly what we can expect from day one of Donald Trump's administration and how we are strategizing things over here at Top Tier Signals. Guys, if you like these types of videos, you can subscribe to our channel, join our Discord. You'll get all sorts of analysis, free information, and you can learn how to be a better trader in a very short period of time. So I definitely recommend that. Without any further ado, guys, there's a lot to talk about, so let's go ahead and jump into the discussion. So before we jump into day one expectations, we should first understand why this is such an important moment for the crypto market and why so many people are anticipating Donald Trump's return to office. Well, the presidential election that took place throughout the course of 2024 shaped financial markets very largely, as it was easily the biggest narrative for folks to talk about, whether you're a crypto trader, stock trader, forex trader, or whatever it may be. All eyes were on the United States and who they were going to elect for 2025. During the campaign, Donald Trump made a strategy to appeal to the crypto folks by appearing at the Bitcoin conference 2024. He spoke very positively of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole, and he made a lot of really nice promises that you'd love to see out of the president. Part of this was reforming the SEC, getting Gary Gensler out of there, and putting somebody in the SEC that's going to be far more favorable and open-minded to cryptocurrency. Another promise he made was to look into creating a Bitcoin national strategic reserve, where the United States would buy up certain amounts of Bitcoin throughout the course of a year to hold essentially indefinitely as a strategic asset. He also wants the United States to be, quote, the crypto capital of the planet. He wants this industry to grow here in the United States primarily. We're talking about job creation, companies here in the United States, and truly ushering this industry forward with the United States first. That is his attitude, or at the very least, these are the things that he has been saying all throughout the 2024 presidential campaign. Now, before we jump into some of our day one expectations, it is important to understand that Donald Trump has made great strides in terms of his perspective on crypto. His overall attitude has certainly become very positive over the last few years. We know that he's recently dropped a meme coin, which we will talk about. He's dropped NFTs, trading cards, used multiple chains. Of course, it's the team around him actually doing these things and not him. But he's no stranger to crypto at this point, and he's said a lot of favorable things in order to win over voters. The important question that remains is how much of this was just talk in order to win over some independent voters, and how much of this is actually going to be implemented in the first days, weeks, or months of his new term. The answer to that is obviously unclear because nobody knows exactly what's going to happen until it happens, but it's certainly the reason for optimism. So I'd be careful before getting a little too optimistic, but certainly the verbiage has been very favorable. We have to see what actually comes about in his presidency. So let's talk about some of the expectations that we might have for day one. So with Trump taking office tomorrow, what can we expect from day one? What are some of the things that we are going to see here in the first week of his administration? Well, one of the first things I'm expecting to see is some movement here in the SEC. We already know that Gary Gensler is stepping down. He will no longer be the commissioner of the SEC. And replacing him will be Trump's appointee, Paul Atkins, an openly crypto-friendly individual, but it's unclear exactly when he will be confirmed. We expect that it would not take a very long period of time, of course, but it could be a bit of a lengthy process. Now, beyond having a new chair, we already see that Republican commissioners such as Hester Pierce or Mark Uyeda are already on the edge of their seat, ready to crack down on some of the crypto policy that currently exists in the United States. And one of the big things that they're ready to focus on is what is going to determine whether or not a cryptocurrency classifies as a security. This is a massively huge issue because we saw a long, multi-year lawsuit here between the SEC and XRP. There was the same issues of trying to determine whether or not Ethereum was a security, so on and so forth. There are thousands and thousands of crypto projects out there. It would be extremely important for the economic superpower of the world to be able to classify what constitutes a security, what constitutes a commodity, a currency, so on and so forth. To have that clarity in one of the largest countries in the world, I think is just such a major step in the right direction, and it's something we can anticipate happening rather early on, which I am personally pretty excited for. We'll see what happens. Now, another big part of his presidency is the expected Bitcoin strategic reserve, an initiative that would essentially buy up a set amount of Bitcoin every year, and we would be holding that Bitcoin essentially on the balance sheet indefinitely, much like we would gold or anything else that we would expect to preserve our value over a long period of time. This would be a massive step forward for Bitcoin in the overall crypto space, to have governments and large-scale institutions buying and holding the asset as a source of digital value, as a source of property. Now, the big kicker is whether or not we are actually going to get this strategic reserve, when we would get it, and what it would actually look like. Of course, there are checks and balances in the United States government. So even though Donald Trump wants to have a strategic Bitcoin reserve, it's not an automatic automatic set in stone thing that we're just guaranteed to have one. As a matter of fact, the Fed chair Jerome Powell has spoken out openly against the idea of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. So we can see how there are some different opinions among highly elected officials, but we will see what happens. There's plenty of Republican senators, representatives of local and state government that are all for this. And as a matter of fact, we already have 5 states that have come out proposing their own Bitcoin strategic reserve at a state level. So this is very nice stuff. Among those states are Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, North Dakota, and New Hampshire. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is a domino effect, especially if things start moving pretty quickly from day one. Of course, it doesn't take a genius to understand that the United States buying and holding Bitcoin is a very bullish thing as far as Bitcoin's price is concerned. But there's another step of it that might be overlooked, which is the amount of Bitcoin that is currently sitting on exchanges, which has hit low after low all throughout 2024 and is currently sitting at a historical low. There has never been less Bitcoin available to the general public than there is now. So if we get states or potentially an entire federal government beginning to buy up Bitcoin on a regular schedule, that is going to be a massive supply shock that many people might not be ready for. This is very, very important. I think if a strategic reserve starts to come through quickly, this could be very big for Bitcoin's price. And even if it does take a long amount of time to actually put in place, just the idea that the government would be working towards a strategic reserve is just a huge step in the right direction. And when you have a scarce asset like Bitcoin, an asset that cannot get less scarce over time, you have these supply shocks over the course of time. So very interesting stuff going on. Of course, we don't know everything that we can expect from Donald Trump on day one, but we know that there is a lot of potential and it's going to be very interesting to see. Now, one of the craziest things outside of this whole inauguration and new administration is that Donald Trump just launched a meme coin on Solana called the official Trump coin. And not only that, but it went over 3,000% in just 2 hours. And he dropped it while hosting a private black tie event for a lot of the top crypto personalities in the world. If that is not a big middle finger to the administration that was so heavily against crypto, I don't know what else is. This man launches a coin while the most important people in the space can't even get in on it. It does 15 billion market cap in 2 hours, 2 days before he's about to be president, before he can change the SEC guidance on crypto. I know I didn't go through that like a very smart person, but I mean, wow. So we'll see what comes of that. I mean, tokenomically, you have 80% of the supply locked away. That is a little interesting. But then you also have the ego of someone like Donald Trump, who certainly would not let his coin perform badly, right? Who knows? But there's a lot that is about to take place here, and it all starts tomorrow on January 20th. Guys, we're going to be covering all this stuff on the channel, so definitely subscribe. Join the Discord. You will not regret it. And until the next video, guys, I will catch you all in the Discord. Peace.